Hello, everyone. Welcome to the very first episode of the Best of Pod Ever. I am one of your hosts, Joe, and I'm very pleased to introduce my co-host, Tryggvi. Tryggvi, how are you?
I'm good, Joe. Thank you. I'm really excited about this pod. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to talk about the best league ever on the best pod ever.
Yes, there we go. Yeah, so we're gonna use this as a platform to kind of talk about the Best of League, which is the top league in Iceland. Tryggvi is Icelandic. I am just a fan, but we both enjoy watching the league, and we thought it would be a fun little project or hobby to to bring you some updates each week about what's going on in the league. They recently went through a rebrand, which is very eye-catching, and it's good to see that happening for the league there. I don't know the last time they had something like that, but it's been quality and it's been fun. And if you follow us on Twitter, which might be how you found this pod in the first place, yeah, you know that outside of the country, games are broadcast on OneFootball and FIFA Plus, and so that's kind of the little secret to how I watch games. I don't know if that's how you do it too. Uh,
Yeah, it's fantastic. I used to there were like the Icelandic TV channels. It started to do some sort of deal where you could watch it abroad or something, but it never really worked this well. So this is fantastic to be able to watch every game almost
yeah,
anywhere in
absolutely.
the world. It's fantastic.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Totally agree. And I also love the fact that I can go back when I have more time and rewatch them too. If I catch it within the certain window, I think they're taken down maybe like a week after or something like that. But yeah, so it's been really nice. It's been fun and the video quality is good. So, happy about that as well. Because and you can correct me on my pronunciation, which you're probably gonna probably gonna do, but I think the TV station or the TV channel in Iceland that broadcasts them is called Stod, right? Stod 2 Sport. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And so I think OneFootball and FIFA probably tap into their professional quality and so yeah, it's nice, it's fun, so I enjoy it. But anyways, enough about that. We're glad that you're here. We do have some fun things to chat to you about. Before we do that though, I thought maybe it would be beneficial for everyone to just go through a little bit of introduction. So um, I'll go ahead and start. I live in Ohio in the United States. I'm a weird kind of football freak. I like to follow leagues that maybe are lesser known or um, people don't pay a lot of attention to. So I'm kind of weird like that. Uh, but I find that a lot of these leagues are still very competitive. I get somewhat bored with Bayern Munich winning the Bundesliga every year and, it just being the same four or five teams at the top of the Premier League challenging for the title every year. Whereas in some of these leagues, such as the Besta League, right? Like, you've got the ability for really any team, I think, to challenge for the title. And it at least certainly feels like it's a little more even across the board. And that makes,
Yeah.
for me, that makes for very exciting football. So, yeah, I mean, I kind of got into Icelandic football on a trip I took over to Europe. Our airplane stopped at the Reykjavik airport on our way over there. This was back in 2016. While I was in the airport waiting to catch the next flight there in Reykjavik, I actually saw some of the youth teams from KR, and I can't remember who the other one was that was there, but there were a couple of them, and it looked like they were getting ready to hop on a plane to go participate in some sort of tournament, I guess. And I just got really excited. I was like, wow, look at that, check that out, like that's so cool. And so ever since then, I've just kind of tried to find as much as I could about the clubs there, which in the beginning was tricky.
Yeah.
But it's getting better. And like I said, we have some resources now to watch the league, and a lot of these clubs are really becoming more professionalized, which I think is good for Icelandic football. they have websites now that are of a lot better quality than they were even just a couple years ago. So yeah, that's kind of my story and how I got into Icelandic football. Tryggvi, tell everybody, where are you from and who do you support?
Yeah, it's this is a podcast, so you won't be able to see that I'm wearing a Cowher shirt. So
He
I'll give
is.
that away straight away. My bias from minute one. Um, but yeah, I'm from Iceland, from Breidablik in Reykjavik, which is where KR is from. But I've been living a bit all over the world. I live in Copenhagen at the moment, but still always been following the league, and I try to do it. I've been, especially in the last few years, I've been trying to do it a bit differently as well, trying to look at it the same way as other as other leagues are getting attention in terms of statistics. Try to look at it in a slightly different way than we've been doing it so far. I think it's been super interesting to look at the league and the teams and the players like that. But no, I'm been a Coward fan since ever before I even knew what that meant. I think my dad just slapped a shirt on my back and and that was it. There was no choice. I mean, I lived right next to the stadium as well, so that was not really much of a choice. But yeah, like you said, it's a fun league. It's an unpredictable league. Unless I'm extremely mistaken, which could be, we've had 4 different winners in the last 4 years. So it's not like it's a one horse league, which is fun, and you have players coming out of this league going the standard is going up, and we're getting players going straight into maybe not Premier League teams, but they're going into bigger and bigger teams, and so it's fun to see these kids before they get famous.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And you are correct, actually. So yeah, KR won in 2019, and then Valor, then Vikingur, and then Breidablik won it last
Technically,
year. So
Valor won it on a technicality.
that's true. That's true.
So they didn't. So Coward still had a chance. So
That's true. Lest we forget, right?
yeah, the COVID season that was called off.
That's right. Yeah, this is true. Well, cool. Yeah, that's really neat that you live next to the stadium. I didn't actually know that. I do hope to get over there at some point to actually catch some games and really soak in the atmosphere and the environment. But yeah, no, that's great. I'm really excited that you are doing this with me. So glad to have you on board.
Nice to be here.
Oh, all right. So with that, I thought what we would do, we're 6 weeks into the season, and match week 6 actually just wrapped up on Monday. And so I wanted to just kind of go through the results. I don't know if we're going to talk about each game per se. We have some things planned out for this episode, but we will say just kind of run through the results. So I'm going to say it without the sort of accent, and I'll leave that to Tryggvi when he actually talks about the teams. Mine's gonna have an American.
I'll try to be a bit more international friendly in my names, but just just speak up if I say something and it makes no sense.
Oh, I will do. No worries there. I think it's good actually that you have the authentic the authentic way of speaking it. It's much better than my American accent. But anyway, so yeah, so HK beat KA. So HK 1, KA 2, Valor 5, KR nil.
You can skip that game, it's
IBV
fine.
0, Vikingur 1. FH2, Keflavik 1. Fram 2, Stjarnan 1. Fylkir 1, Breidablik 2. So those are kind of the results over match day 6. Anything in particular before we kind of launch into it? Any of those stick out to you at all?
I mean, there is one I don't really want to talk about it, but yeah, the 5-0 wasn't great. But yeah, I think you even put on Twitter that the amount of 2-1s is is quite extraordinary. All but 2 games ended in 2-1 wins.
Yeah, it was
That's
clearly the match week of 2-1 score lines, which is very interesting.
But no, I mean, to be honest, there was nothing super surprising about this. I think if you had to put money on this, I think you would, with the form these teams are in at the moment, probably put it something like somewhere around this.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, well, cool. Well, let's hop in then. Let's talk about Vikingur up to this point in the season. So they're the table leaders, undefeated. They've only conceded 1 goal, and that was against Keflavik of all teams on
Did you
match
see
day
that goal, by the way?
on match day 5. I did see it. It was. What did you think of it?
It was pretty terrible.
I know.
For a team that has not conceded a goal for 6 games or 5 and something games, to concede that goal, he basically walks through the defense and then shoots it straight at the goalkeeper, and he somehow doesn't really go for it. It was very odd.
Yeah, it was. No, I
I
totally
think he
agree.
wasn't used to saving shots anymore. Maybe he was.
Yeah, he just needed a break or something. I don't
Yeah.
know. But yeah, they've looked really strong. I think they've played well as a team so far. Pablo Puned is one of my, or just Pablo as everybody calls him, is one of my favorite players to watch in this league. And once again, he's been class, I think, on the field so far. Definitely, I think one of the better players in the league. But yeah, they've really just come on very strong. I would say again, claiming all their points and only giving up 1 goal. I think that's impressive. And I have here in the notes that champions find a way to win. And I say that because in this last, on this last match day, IBV actually played them very well. It took like almost a last minute goal for them to get that win. And so, but that's kind of that's the stuff that champions are made of, right? They find a way to win no matter what, even if it's away from home and in a tough atmosphere. So yeah, and I think Nikolai Hansen has been good for them as well so far this season. What do you think about them so far?
Yeah, I mean, obviously they've been impressive. There was a bit of a question mark. I mean, not a very small one, but a tiny bit, because they haven't made too many signings as far as I remember. And they've lost some big players. They've lost Chris Maune to Rosenborg, who was, they already lost him at the end of last season, so they've had some
Right.
time to get used to that. But still, he was a huge player in both in goals, but also in assists for them
Yeah,
creating chances.
he is struggling at Rosenborg, surprisingly, but
Yeah,
maybe that will
both him and
change.
Isak are. Yeah, it's yeah, it's also his second tour abroad, right? He was in FC Co, wasn't he? Or am I
Yeah,
talking? Yeah,
he was. Yeah, he came through their youth, I think. Or is
yeah.
that right? I think so. Yeah.
I think he left. Oh no, I'm blanking now. He left Iceland to go to FCK, and then he came back to Vikingur, I think. But yeah,
You
for the
might be
life of
right.
me, I don't remember which team he came from. But yeah, so it's a big loss, and last season they struggled with losing through their central defenders to former internationals, and it kind of showed. I mean, they kept up with Breidablik, but still they weren't quite as dominant as in 2021. But
Mhm.
no, they've been super impressive, and yeah, and I mean, there's a lot on Nikolai's shoulders. I think this season because they've lost Kristadlen, because they've lost some players, and I mean they still have other great players, but I think goal scoring might rest on him. I think one stat that I saw, which was kind of interesting, was that like they scored in the last minute, but like the xG for that game was like they had 2.8 to almost 2.9 xG, 23 shots. So they were really bombarding bombarding the goal. And like you said, it's a tough away match. In EBF, the manager, Arnar Gunnlaugs, came out and said that like you go there and you're just, if you come away with a win, it doesn't really matter how it happens. It's you're just happy. It's one of those away games that you're just happy coming away with anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think maybe it's something to. It is good, like you said, champions or champions elect to be grinding out results, but I think it's something maybe to follow if their XG keeps being much higher than their actual output. What does that bode for their goal scoring? But no, I'm super impressed so far. Let's see if they can keep this going.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. They'll need to continue to find ways to win those games, right? And it sounds from what you mentioned that they probably should have had more goals in that game. So yeah, can they keep it going? I guess is maybe the big question there. But early on, they look pretty strong. They look pretty good. So
yeah, I just found the transfer list or from this, and they've lost 3, they brought in 3, so it's very much sort of keep the same team as last year, which is also good. I think that's in Icelandic football when you're working with especially a younger team. I think it is good if you can hold on to a lot of your players and try to build on for next year. So in that sense, that means they will, they have a very good manager, and that means they will be stronger this year. So if they don't lose anyone in the summer, which I mean that's not a given that they can hold on to everyone over the summer.
yeah.
But
yeah,
I think they need to rack up the points while they can.
Agreed. Wanted to mention Stjarnan actually. So they've had just a pretty tough start to the season, but before we started recording, you actually made a really good point that I think their schedule up to this point in time has been against a lot of kind of, I guess, the top teams. So what do you think is going on there? What's besides maybe their schedule? Is there anything else that you think that is the reason for why they're kind of bottom of the table? I mean, they're not bottom, but they're second bottom. They're right down there for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like you said, they played Vikingur, FO, Valur already. Some of them away, and they managed to they scored. How many goals they score against? Sorry, just look. Yeah, they scored like 2 against Valur, and they lost in the last second, I think, or in the last minutes against Valur away. So like, it's not like they've been doing what Coward has been doing lately. So they've been putting up a bit of a fight. I think maybe it's just clearly not enough of a fight because before we started recording as well, they announced that they had sacked their manager.
That's crazy.
6 games in, which is always fairly drastic.
Yeah. I mean, so I'm being somewhat new to it. Is that pretty uncommon for?
No, I mean it does happen. Obviously, I think it's changed a little bit. It's kind of hard to draw too many parallels to the past because the season is longer now. It used to only be 22 games. Now we've had this split. We have 2 rounds, and then the league splits into 2.
Yeah.
So it's a slightly longer season. Or it's actually not slightly. It's much longer than it used to be. So like after 6 games in the old setup, then yeah, I think it would be pretty common to fire someone because then you're a quarter of the season through a quarter of the season, right?
Sure.
Through the old format.
Yeah.
If you're bottom and you're after that, then I think it's time. I think it seems a bit drastic now, given the schedule, given some of the injuries. Their goalkeeper, Haraldur Björnsson, he's been been there for forever. a captain and a big part of the team. They brought in a good replacement in Arnes Knight from Mia, but it's a big loss to lose him. And they have some really interesting young players. Isak Andre, who scored 3 goals. 3 goals, yeah, already. He's one of those players that they've been talking about selling. He's probably going to get sold in the summer. So they have a lot of, and I don't remember exactly. They have quite a big part of their team is in and around the U19 national team. So it's a talented team with some good players, and they did fairly well last season. So I think maybe there's higher expectations. So maybe they felt that things weren't moving fast enough. But they've announced that August's replacement will be Jökull. That's a name for our international listeners. That's a very Icelandic sound, that double L.
Can you say it again? Say it again.
Jökull.
Woo. All right.
It's also my middle name, which is why I don't really use it when I'm talking. So my middle name is Paul, but it's Páll in Icelandic.
Wow. All right. There we go. I love it.
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, they've replaced August with Jökull, the assistant. So they're not looking to make wholesale changes. They just, I think it will come out in the next few days, maybe, why that decision was made.
Yeah, so a little bit of breaking news for everybody on the first episode. That's great. Yeah, what do you think? I mean, besides having a young squad and I guess kind of the strength of schedule, I think I see here in the notes that you wrote, the high pressure football with risks at the back, and that's, I guess, kind of their style of play, which I've definitely noticed as well. And you think it's kind of maybe one of the issues.
I mean, they've scored 8 goals and they've conceded 14, which is that's more than you have to go up to 7th place to find a team that scored as much as that. And if even Kawa, who sits at 4th, have only scored 10 goals. So they've scoring really isn't as much of a problem for them. It's more maybe the defense, which is the second worst in the league so far. So it's August is a very talented coach, and he's done some really good things. I think he even said that it's a very sort of rock and roll football. It's about outscoring the opponent, and it's that sort of thing. It's not about sitting back and defending a 1-0 lead. So maybe that's part of the reason. Maybe they want to move a bit away from that. I don't know. I don't know what sort of Jökull has never been the first what do you call it, a full-time manager before, as far as I know. Maybe he's been like a caretaker or something, but not, this is his first full-time job. So we don't really know what he's going to bring to the table, if it's going to be a radical departure from what August has been doing.
Yeah, so yeah, something to keep an eye on, I guess, and see if Stjarnan can kind of turn their season around with some of these changes. Interesting to note too that so they've scored 8 goals. 5 of those goals came in the game against HK, which they won 5-4. Which was, I watched that game. That was one heck of a game. 9 goals in a game is nearly unheard of, and so it was really fun. That was a great game. Okay, so yeah, that's kind of what's going on with Stjarnan, and we'll see if they can kind of turn things around. I'm not used to necessarily seeing them down there, at least since I've kind of started following the league. They've always kind of been a little higher up, and I'm pretty sure they were not pretty sure. I know they were in the upper half last season, even though they finished bottom after the league split. They were, or was it bottom or 5th? I can't remember, but anyways, so yeah, it's been interesting to kind of see that, but. Yeah.
I think I'm just seeing if my memory is failing me a bit, but I think 2021 they finished 7th. I think there was not a great. I think as far as I remember, 2021 wasn't a great season for them. They maybe bounced back a little bit. Sort of their, so they have these seasons where they maybe don't do as well. But they have, historically they've been in the upper echelons of the league, but they've had these periods, maybe not whole seasons, but they've had these periods over the last few years where they've struggled a bit. I think maybe that's I think even 2021 there was a point, or I remember in the very near past there was a period where they were, flirting with relegation for a little bit. So that this is not the first time they've been doing this, but
yeah,
like you said, it's historically they've been the upper part of it.
Yeah. Want to shift gears to the defending champions, Breidablik. So bit of a frustrating start, I think, to the season for them. They lost the opening game to their rival, Kopavoger, or HK. I don't know if you had a chance to catch any of that game, but that was I think that caught everybody by surprise. And we'll get to HK here in a second. But for Breidablik, one of the things that I've noticed is they seem to be pretty leaky at the back. They've tended to let in some goals that I'm not sure, especially maybe last year, that they would have but they do have somebody just class up front in Stefan Ingi. I've been really impressed with him, and I think he's definitely up there. Possibly, I don't know if you would agree with this or not, but I think he's probably the best player in the league. If he's not, he's got to be up there for sure. And I don't think he's going to stick around in the league much longer. But yeah, he like can't stop scoring. So I've been very excited to watch him. Very impressed with him. But yeah, with their qualification to Europe, they're going to be the team that is in Champions League for Iceland. I think they definitely need to fix some of those issues at the back. They have kind of started to turn that around. I think they've put together a string of fairly decent results, and I think if I remember from the graphic I put out the other day, I think they're in 3rd place now, which is probably more along the lines of where they should be. So yeah. Just double checking myself here.
Yeah, 3rd place. Yeah,
I'm 3rd place. Yeah.
Well.
Okay. Yeah. There we go. Yeah. So they've got 12 points from 6 games with a +4 goal differential. And so, yeah, they I guess that's kind of my thoughts on them. I mean, what do you think of their season so far? And do you agree that they kind of need to tighten up those issues at the back and before Europe comes? Because we're almost, I mean, it's not going to be too far away now.
No, it starts in, is it June or is it July? Like it starts around the final, right?
Yeah. It's usually like at the end of June. It's usually around my birthday. So yeah, end of June, early July is usually when it is. Yeah.
Yeah, and so. And I remember Vikingur so this is the new format, or at least where they do this pre-qualifying. So
Yeah.
we're shoving all us tiny minnows into this pre-qualifying thing. So we have this little mini tournament at the beginning where it's like 2 days or 3 days, basically a weekend where we're gonna play like the champions of Macedonia and it's like that.
And yeah, I think it's I think like Malta is in there, and yeah.
So and Vikingur did well in there in that little mini tournament last year, but then didn't make it too far after that. So Breidablik will obviously be hoping to make it a bit further. Yeah, I think they've definitely started a bit slower than last year, where I think again, if my memory serves me right, that they really took off a bit, like Vikingur is doing this year. And that they barely lost in the first few dozen games. I think they were just, and then they started to stutter a little bit, and that's where people thought they could be caught, but it was just too late. I think the season was over far, so it's really early on, so it's not as quite as impressive as that. They've made a lot of signings as well. I think can't even count how many things are on this list. It's they've changed, added a lot of players. One player maybe that could be relevant to your question is they brought in Oliver Stefansson, who played in IA and Akranes last year. They brought him on a full transfer from Norrköping in Sweden, and I think people were expecting him to be a starter when he came, because when he went to Norrköping from IA, he was a pretty highly rated talent, and then he had a unfortunate with some serious injuries, and he's been coming back, and he was fairly impressive last season on loan at IA. So I think people were expecting him to come in and help shore up the defense, but he's barely played. I think he's just coming off the bench now. So it'll be interesting a little bit to see if they rotate the team and use players like him, or if they stick with what they've been doing. But yeah, I remember the talk after that Haukau game was very much about the goalkeeper, who's very controversial, I think, in Iceland in terms of not anything he does off the pitch, but I think he's the first sort of high profile player that we've had play this very European style sweeper keeper kind of role. Like I remember seeing pictures over the last season, especially like when pictures from games and he's playing almost at a halfway line. It's not something we're maybe used to seeing too much here in Iceland. So when he does, inevitably make a mistake, just because every goalkeeper makes a mistake at some point, I think people talk about him maybe a bit more than other goalkeepers. So there was a lot of talk after that game, after the first few games, like, okay, this is what's happening there. I remember there were 1 or 2 goals in that first game where it didn't look super great.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna throw this out there, because I think we're starting to get to the point in this kind of the first round through. Like Breidablik hasn't played Vikingur yet. That's gonna happen here in the next couple weeks. I mean, if that game happened this upcoming Sunday, they both won at least 3 games in a row, so they're in good form. Who do you think would come out of that game? I'm putting you on the spot here a little bit.
Yeah, I think that if you look at the Haukau game, like you said, it was a bit of an anomaly. But still, Breidablik have conceded 11 goals this season, right? And Vikingur have, like we spoke about, has conceded 1. I think at this point of the season, unless that Keflavik goal completely ruined their confidence and it's just opened the floodgates, I think that Vikingur should be able to at least limit Breidablik to one goal or something like that, and then I think we'd have every confidence that they at least score 1 back. So I think at this point in time, I think Vikingur would take it, but yeah, I would
agree with that. Yeah,
but they're growing into it, so we'll see.
Yeah. Anyone else stick out to you from Breidablik? They've got 2 Faroese players, Patrick Johannesson and Clement Olsen.
Yeah, I actually just saw that Patrick has been injured fairly severely, is out for the season. This just happened today.
Really? Oh my goodness. So yeah, that's crazy. I did not see that yet.
This is I'm I'm not good with these medical these injury terms, but yeah, let me try to Google translate this, see what this is in English. But yeah, this story at least is saying that he's out for the season, so that's quite big, because I mean, he's not
That
like
is
he
big.
was, like you said, Stefan Inge was
Yeah, Stephanie.
yeah, he's been the impressive
Yeah,
sort of the target man so far, but Patrick is, I don't know if it was actually ever confirmed, because these things are never really confirmed in Iceland, but it was definitely talked about that he was the most expensive transfer between Icelandic teams when he was bought from Keflavik.
Yeah.
So big things we're expecting of him. So this would be quite a blow.
Yeah, that is a blow. That is a blow, especially with everything they've got going on with Europe and looming and getting that underway. So man, that's crazy.
It's a ruptured cruciate ligament, is what Google says. So
yeah, that sounds like maybe season ending for sure. That's too bad.
Yeah. So
well,
yeah, Clement, but yeah, if you're gonna be positive, yeah, Clement. I don't know how to. That's where my pronunciation skills end. Faroese is not something I don't know.
Sure. Yeah.
He's I think he's grown into it. I think there was a bit of talk again in the first few games. He wasn't. I think he wasn't even in the squad in one or two games, and but he's come in and he scored in the last game. So it's a proven goal scorer. So I think we have any doubts about him.
Yeah. No, I agree. All right. Well, yeah, we'll kind of keep an eye on them and see how that goes. Let's so let's move to HK. So how do people say, is it Haka, or do they say Kopavogur, or what do they say?
So it's Haukau.
Haukau.
Yeah. Kopovo, you could then maybe Breidablik or someone could get upset because
that's where they're from too.
Yeah. So very, very close to each other. So Haukau is, or HK is usually how they're pronounced, how they're referred to.
So at the start of the season, they they were probably the favorites, I think, with a lot of people to just kind of go right back down, from what I could tell. But right now, well, a couple weeks ago, they've had a really good start to the season, is what we're trying to say. Right now, they're sitting in 6th, and last week they were in 4th. So they've slipped down the table just a little bit in recent weeks. But they only just lost this last game. They won the 2 prior games. So, they've had a really good start to the season. They're sitting on 10 points after 6 games. Before I get to my question for you, one player that I've kind of had my eye on is Ahmed Fakwa. He's a player on loan from AIK Stockholm, and I've been pretty impressed with him. I think he's doing a good job this season for them, and really, I think, trying to prove himself, maybe even to those at AIK. Maybe he can go back and next season there and maybe claim a spot, because I'll be honest with you, AIK is not having a good season either. But yeah, so he's been a player that's impressed me a lot for them so far this season. I don't know if he's impressed you. And then I know as well that there was some discussion about their manager, and he doesn't have a lot of experience, but he's been able to, well, he won the derby against Breidablik, and he's obviously been able to get them some good results so far. So how do you think they've done so far this season, Tryggvi?
Oh, it's been super impressive. I think, yeah, like you said, there was nobody predicting any of this. That's why when they beat Breidablik in the beginning, that I think it was also very much down to how everyone saw Hauka, that they criticized Breidablik so much, because they just assumed this was the team that was going to come up and go straight back down again.
Yeah.
So for Breidablik to lose against Hauka and concede all those goals was quite a shock. But now they've been, it wasn't just a flash in the pan. I'm sure they'll fall off at some point. They'll have they'll drop off, and they'll struggle at some point, and then hopefully they can get over whatever struggles come up in the future. But no, so far they've been really good. They've been, because they can both, go and score against the big boys, but then they also, when they played Fylke, they could also, just go there, do a very, professional in and out, just get the 3 points, 1-0 at home. Which is exactly what you need if you're, even if you're not struggling with relegation now. It's for a team like Hauka, you need to be realistic and need to win those games at home. So being able to, and same with against Kawa the weekend after, going there, getting, well taken goal. Maybe you could argue about the defending there, but and the manager said and after the game that against Kawa, for example, they dropped a bit too back. They maybe weren't quite. They didn't really know what to do. Maybe should have pushed on a bit. But no, I was super impressed with them. And yeah, like you're completely right. The manager was a huge question mark at the beginning of the season. Everyone kind of just assumed that no, my brain is what was the old Brynjar? What was the old manager's name?
Oh, for HK?
Yeah, I can see his face. I know exactly who I'm talking about. It just like it completely slipped my mind, and my internet isn't working exactly. So it's
I'll find it. Let's see.
Oh, this is annoying. Brynjar, yeah, sorry, Gunnarsson, yeah, exactly, yes, yeah. He was a young manager. He was a big name in the as a player back in the day. This was his his big. He started with Hauka a few years back, and he did quite well with them. Brought them, he had a young team, and they got relegated, but they did fairly well.
Yeah.
Kept bouncing up and down. So when he left to go to Örgryte in Sweden, he's been sacked now, I think, again. But when he left for Sweden, this manager who's just Omarinki, yeah, exactly. My brain is really not working today. His names. People, they thought, okay, maybe he'll be there for just to settle the ship, and then they'll bring someone in, and they'll bring someone in when they have to get promoted last season, or especially when they go into the best of Dilton, as a newly promoted team. They're not going to go with this guy, but they've stuck with him, and it's going really well. And yeah, they've brought in some interesting players. I think him and Faka, and also Aziz. I think
Aziz.
the goalie, goal, Marciano Aziz. I think the goal he took against Kawa the other day was really well taken. I think
it was good, yeah.
Dropped off a little bit in the second half, but I think they have some really interesting players, and I think so because they also lost some big names before. They lost Valgeirsson a little, not quite at the end of last season, but last season who was quite a big name for them last time they were in the top division.
Mm.
So they've lost some players, but clearly done well to replace them, and so far so good.
Yeah, I think another name I would add to that too would be Hassan Jallow as well. He's an Australian guy. I've been pretty pleased with him too. And I actually I follow him on Instagram, and he's he's quite comical. So so yeah, they've been able to find, a way to put it together, and I have been very happy with, their performances so far, and I think they have as good a chance of anyone as to stay up, much to the surprise, I think, of a lot of people. So yeah, go all credit to them for figuring that out, and having a good start to the season. And I kind of hope it continues. They've been an entertaining watch. Sometimes when you get teams that come up, they play very cautious football, because they want to stay in the league. But I haven't really felt like that um, with how call. They've they've been fun to watch, so I'm happy with that.
Oh no, for sure. It's good to bring different teams into the league. And so far,
Yeah,
they've been a great addition.
yeah. And so we're going to talk about my team now, which is FH. So, um, so it's an interesting start to the season for them. Their field wasn't ready to go. I believe this last weekend was the first weekend where they played at home. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was. And you could kind of tell it it looked all right, but they got a grass pitch. It's not artificial. And so by the end of the game, I'm not gonna lie, it looked pretty bad. But on the other hand, it's not necessarily like it's an easy thing to grow a grass field in Iceland. So,
Oh no.
you can't, I'm not expecting to have this pristine Premier League level pitch. And so I think if that's what your expectation is, maybe that's a little, I don't know. I mean, I think it's a good goal to have for every team in the league. I think that'd be great, but I'm not sure that's realistic for the league anyways. So yeah, they they played at the well, I'm calling it like the athletic track. They played a couple games there, and you could hardly see the ball moving on the field. At least from the TV at least from the stream I was watching, I was like really struggling to keep up with that game. And when we scored, I was like, oh, hey, the ball went in the net. I didn't even see it. So, uh, but no, I think hopefully that's over. I will say though that even though they were kind of having those field woes when they did have home games, it did kind of turn into a little bit of a fortress for them, and um, they kind of had a little bit of a better start to the season than I was expecting. Last season was a bit of a disaster. Well, not a bit; it was a complete disaster for a team like FH. Uh, and so I think at least at the moment, I'm I'm okay with where we're at. I'd like to try to stay up high in the table for sure. But yeah, I've been really happy with Kjartan Henry. His bicycle kick to me is probably one of the goals of the season so far. Even though it just kind of the ball just kind of like slowly looped over the goalkeeper, I feel like. But hey, I'll take it anyways. It was cool nonetheless. So yeah, I guess my question to you is, do you think that's one of the signings of the season um, for the league? Yeah.
Yeah, he's done well. I think I saw he's outscored Coward the whole team.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not so him coming from Coward is and doing so well is annoying to say the least.
Yeah, I bet. I know. Sorry, I shouldn't have rubbed it in. My bad. My bad.
No, the last season was an odd one, and not to bring it's too much to Coward. We can take this at some point another time. But yeah, like last season he didn't really play that much at Coward. Like he's a very outspoken person, so he was not hiding his feelings at all about this, that he was not happy. And then it was very clear, before the season ended, that he was not staying there. So So on a personal level, I'm happy that he found a place to play. He's a great striker. I met him very briefly. He does not remember me for sure, but I've met him. I met him a while ago, and he was a nice guy, and I'm happy for him. That he's found somewhere to finish. I don't know, finish off his career. I don't know. He might have a few years left in him, but we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, good. So far so good for him.
Yeah. He is starting to get up there, isn't he? um, yeah, no, yeah, I've been, so like I said, yeah, I've been all right with our start to the season, more or less. I've been happy with Ulfor August and Logie. I think they both played pretty well so far. And one of our newer signings, Danny Hataka, I've enjoyed watching him this season as well. I think he's done a good job. So yeah, I guess those are kind of my brief thoughts on on FH. I did want to ask you just about their coach, who I believe his name is Heimir Gudjonsson. Is that correct?
Yeah, Heimir.
Heimir. Heimir.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's this isn't his first time coaching for us. In fact, I think he won the league with us the last time he coached for us, if that's correct. But um, can you just kind of help me and the listeners? Like, is he, the impression that I've gotten is that he's kind of a bit of a legend almost, like in Iceland. Is that true or no? Or
Yeah, no, he for sure. It's he was a very very good player, and then he's as a manager he's been that's things he's done with FO, because it's easy to forget where they are now. It's when I was younger, they were not this this was not FO. This Stjarnan and FO were, I don't even know where they were, first or second division. This was not, at best they were, a little bouncing up and down.
yeah,
But no, I mean, especially FO, this was not a team that was challenging for any titles. And the fact that he obviously not alone, but he had a huge impact on that team, and he has been a huge part in creating them into what they are now. And again, not to make this about Coward, but but there are people talking about, oh, should we, is Runar's job, the manager of Coward, is his job and under threat? Should they be considering firing him? And then someone had the point of like, yeah, remember, just take a look at FO. They fired their manager of, their long-term manager who brought them, success, and where admittedly it wasn't going very well when he was fired, but it has been absolutely terrible since between them firing him and then hiring him back. So
yeah.
I think everyone's really, really happy to have him back, and it's he went to the Faroe Islands to coach for a little bit and did quite well there. So he's definitely one of the biggest names in Iceland. And when the national team job came up, I think understandably he was one of the names being mentioned. But so no, yeah, fantastic manager, and he's clearly just picking up the pieces at FO.
So speaking then of your team, let's go ahead and we'll move to them. So a few stats for you. You may not want to hear, but I'm gonna read them out because I caught these yesterday. So this has been for KR. This has been the worst start to the season in 46 years. The last time that they lost 4 games in a row without scoring was 1976-77 season. They haven't scored a goal since the second week versus Keflavik. So what is going on there? And do you think they're going to turn it around?
Yeah, it's
You should see his face right now. He's like, oh.
yeah, we can maybe take them up in the next episode. We're playing Breidablik in the next game, which that could get that could get ugly, or maybe we'll bounce back. I think that maybe we can go dive in a little bit deeper, because I think we've been talking for quite a while, and I could
Yeah,
talk about Coward
that's a
for
derby match though,
another
right?
half
Is
an
that
hour.
right?
Sorry?
Is that a derby match? That's a derby match, right?
I mean, 99% of teams are from Reykjavik, so
Yeah.
basically,
Yeah.
so, and that's
Yeah.
so although people from Coburg and Garðabær will say no, that's not technically Reykjavik, but it's Reykjavik. So no, I mean, it's not the derbies for Coward is Valur. Valur is the big that's the El Clásico in Iceland, and then historically it's Fram, who've maybe not been as much of a threat lately. But so losing against Valur is always worse than losing against Breidablik.
Gotcha. Oh yeah.
But
So
no,
it was
it's not been good. It's the
rough
fact that
Sunday
we're
for
not
you.
scoring either, and
Yeah.
not great.
Yeah. Yeah. Rough. It was a rough Sunday for you, I guess, huh? Yeah. Jeez. All right. Well, nothing else you want to say?
I mean, there's 1,000 things I could say. I'm just thinking maybe we can take them, depending on how the Breidablik game goes, we can maybe take a longer discussion. We can really dig into them if we lose again, if we don't score again. And then if we win, we can talk about the glorious rebirth that is Coward.
There you go. I like it. I like it. Yeah, well, we'll plan on doing that then. We'll kind of put that discussion on hold, just for the sake of time.
It's a teaser.
There we go. It's a teaser for the next episode. So if you want to learn more about Kaur, on the next episode, we're gonna have that for you. But yeah, any other last thoughts that maybe you wanted to make sure that we mention this first episode here?
No, I think it's like, I think we've gone over quite a lot. I think the other teams that we haven't mentioned, there's still a lot to talk. So people shouldn't just come back for discussions about Coward. We haven't talked about Fram, we haven't talked about Fylkir, not really BVF or Keflavik or stuff. They haven't had the best start of the season, any of those teams. Fram, I think maybe it has been of those teams, maybe it's been the brightest start, but struggling a bit defensively. Keflavik against Fylkir don't look particularly great. That goal that, if you haven't seen it, Besta Deildin has a YouTube channel, and you should, I advise everyone listening to take a look at the highlights from Keflavik against FO, because that Kjartan Henrys scores a goal, and it's the assist from the defense is just amazing.
Yeah,
I think that sums up the season Keflavik has been having so far. So definitely check that out if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, they have been pretty poor, and I haven't been overly impressed with Fylkir either. And Fram, yeah, they started slow, but they've kind of picked things up in recent weeks. So yeah, and we didn't really talk much about Valur or Kawa.
No.
So we
can
have some
talk about Valur. That's fine.
So yeah, we definitely have some discussions for next week. So we'll table those for the time being, and we just wanted to say thank you to everybody who is listening. We appreciate your support. We're looking forward to doing a lot more episodes, and we're hoping to maybe get some special guests on. And so yeah, if you would like, you're welcome to follow the English language account. This is an unofficial account. I have no connection to the Besta League at all. This is just myself. It's just my own little doing. But you can follow it at Besta ENG, like Besta English, Besta ENG. Tryggvi, where can people find you?
Yeah, Twitter is a good place. I have a bit of a weird handle, so I think Dr. Handtastic. It's back when I used to write about Bundesliga teams, so it's a pun on one player. It's a weird handle, so I don't know. Might have to change that at some point.
No worries. It's all good. Cool. Well, yeah. Tryggvi, thank you very much for joining me, and I look forward to the next time that we get together. And thank you, listeners, and goodbye.
Thank you. Bye.
Ne oluyor? Aa, no focus. Calling it.